Hello everyone, my name is MadSeved, and this video has been way overdue. You see, last week I completed Morrowind for the first time ever, and during my playthrough I finished every single quest and DLC that can be completed in a single playthrough. And this has been an incredible gameplay experience for me, so I felt it would be appropriate to end this gameplay experience with a reflection or a review of sorts of the game. Before we get to my actual thoughts on the game, I wanted to make two things clear. First, I'm gonna work from the assumption that you, the viewer, have played an Elder Scrolls game before, most likely Oblivion or Skyrim. And as such, I don't have to explain the general gameplay loop of an Elder Scrolls game. Secondly, this is mostly an audio experience, so feel free to minimize this window and do whatever while you have me talking in your ear. But if you want to stick around, I put up some gameplay from my stream to keep you company. So, let's get to my actual thoughts. So I have structured my thoughts in terms of talking points. Some are good, some are bad, and some are neutral. I'm just gonna go through them all, starting with the good ones and ending with the neutral ones. So first pro, game mechanics. I'm referring to the skill system and combat. So I've long been a fan of the skill system of the Elder Scrolls games. I feel it's more intuitive to, become better at some activity that you're actively doing. Because I'm well aware of the fact that this system is exploitable compared to, an experience point system of any other RPG out there, basically. But still, I find this more immersive and, again, intuitive. The combat point, however, it might be more controversial because I know for a fact that people have issues with the old school combat of Morrowind. However, I feel that it promotes a new way, I should say, of playing the game. So instead of having, good block reaction and good swing timings, having, be the factors of your success, instead you have to worry more about how you build your character and how you prepare before going into battle. Because in Morrowind, if you're playing a melee character and you're going against another melee character, your input won't actually determine the outcome of the fight. You just spam your left mouse button and your character will do the work for you. However, the success is determined on, again, what I said, how you prepare before going to battle. I realized that this, older way of playing the game is not for everyone. And I'm not saying that the combat mechanics of the later Elder Scrolls games are worse than the previous one. However, when I play new games, I like to have new experiences. I want, new combat, new story, new lore, and whatever. So in this way, Morrowind feels fresh to me, and that is a positive experience. Before we leave this point and go over to the next one, I almost forgot about this too. I need to mention the spells available to you in Morrowind. You can do so many things that you can't do in the later Elder Scrolls games. You can jump really high, you can literally fly, and you can teleport. Those spells are very fun to use. And once you figure out how to maximize their efficiency, you feel like a literal god. Second pro, exploration. Just walking through the world of Morrowind is a genuine joy. And Bethesda has gone out of their way to, add tidbits to the world that you can find when you just travel around and explore. You are very often rewarded for going off the beaten path, and you often find rare artifacts, some cool little story tidbit or something of the sort. Or maybe you'll find a new quest hidden in a cavern somewhere or something. You really see early on that Bethesda has designed the game in a way that's not linear. You're supposed to approach the game in whatever manner you choose. And again, this is a great feeling. Elder Scrolls games are supposed to encourage freedom and freedom of how you approach the game. And I think Morrowind really takes this game design philosophy to heart. I'm not gonna, go into specifics because that would be spoilers, but very early on, I feel, when you play the game, you, again, already feel rewarded for going off the beaten path. So, the third pro, which is kind of related to the exploration part, because when you're, walking around Morrowind and, taking in the world, you see how different it is to other fantasy RPGs. This game has some interesting creatures to fight and just see, and they have some interesting flora. But the thing that I really like about the world is how, the exoticness of the Dunmer world is unified with the more structured and more organized fantasy architecture that we are used to that comes from the Empire. They find some sort of harmony that is familiar and alien at the same time. And this hybrid, again, is very appealing to me. And of course, this is extremely subjective. All of these thoughts are subjective. But to me, this is actually a very good pro. Pro number 4. The main story of Morrowind is designed in such a way that you're not supposed to play it from beginning to end in, one sitting. The quest givers of the main story actively tells you to stop playing the main story and go out in the world and explore. Go join other factions, do other quests, familiarize yourself with the world, with the people, and so on and so forth. And again, this links back to, the old gameplay philosophy that I feel that the Elder Scrolls should, embrace full-heartedly, and that is the freedom of player choice in how they approach the game. In comparison, in the later Elder Scrolls games, you are actively encouraged to complete the main story before basically doing anything else. You get, a sense of urgency, of a looming threat that is not present in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. In fact, the main bad guy in Elder Scrolls 3 has been there for many years. This is not an urgent threat you have to deal with. So it makes sense in the world that you have the opportunity to take some time off from the main story and do your own thing. In 4 and 5, the threat is very new and it's very real, and it has to be dealt with straight away. The last pro, and this is related to the story of Morrowind, but that is the lore. I have never been interested in the lore of the Elder Scrolls series, I must admit. I'm here to just interact with the world, play my character in whichever way I want, and do my own thing. That is what I like about the Elder Scrolls games. But for the first time ever, I actually paid attention to the lore, what the NPCs has been telling me. And that is because the lore surrounding the game is a mystery, and I do love a good mystery. So, if you take away the bare essentials from the main story, the story becomes quite simple. You have a bad guy at the very center of the island who, wants to do bad things to the people of Vvardenfell. However, the context surrounding this story is wrapped in mystery that you can, not entirely figure out, but you can get, hints from here and there and try to piece together your own speculation, your own theory about what has happened in the distant past. And the game doesn't really provide you with any true answers. As such, we arrive to the first con, and that is quest design. And I'm not really talking about the story here, but rather the quest activities. In Morrowind, most quests are copy-paste versions of each other. You basically just kill things, you collect things, you plant an item here, you escort a person, and man, escort quests are the worst. And you might find an item in a ruin or whatever. And they just copy-paste these activities over again. And even, quests that you feel should have some variety, such as the faction quests, are fairly similar to one another. And this is a minor spoiler, but most factions actually end with you fighting the guild master. Even though you're playing as a mage, or playing as, a assassin, both factions end in a similar way. And if you compare this to, say, the quest design in Oblivion, I feel that you get a completely different story. The quests, the activities you do in the quest in Oblivion are fairly varied, overall. There's some repetition in Oblivion as well, but to a lesser extent, I feel. Let me be a bit more specific with examples. So, one thing I specifically complained about when playing through Morrowind was the fact that I did so many assassination quests, basically. And I'm not even talking about the Assassin's Guild at this point. I'm talking about, say, the Mage's Guild or the Fighter's Guild. The Fighter's Guild actually felt more like a proper Assassin Guild playthrough than almost the Morrowind itself, because in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, being an assassin is, a respectable profession that is allowed, which is fairly interesting in of itself. But that made it so that you don't have to, hide from the cops when you do your killing, because, again, you're allowed to do the killing. If you compare this to, again, Oblivion, you have the obvious assassin questline in the Dark Brotherhood, which is very good, and I think, again, fairly varied. But if you compare this to the quest line of the Mage's Guild or the Fighter's Guild, I feel that there are some clear distinctions. In the Fighter's Guild, you're basically worrying most about the competitor. I forgot the name of the competitor guild to the Fighter's Guild in Oblivion, but you know, that's the main story there. And in the Mage's Guild, you're mostly dealing with basically your studies. You're just trying to get accepted into the university or in the Imperial City. And you don't feel like an assassin when you play through the Mage's Guild of Oblivion. And I do feel like an assassin, at some point at least, when I'm playing through the Mage's Guild of Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. But I want to reiterate the point that there are some very good quests in Morrowind as well. For instance, I really like the Temple quests line and some of the quests of the Great House Telvanni. But these feel more as, you know, exceptions, not the rule. Second con. The world of Morrowind feels lifeless at times, unfortunately. I suspect that this is due to the fact that the developers of the time didn't have access to quite as many tools and technologies as they do today. So for example, some NPCs in the game stand still at a single location for the entirety of the game. And most NPCs of Morrowind has, you know, copy-paste dialogue from one another. So they're basically indistinguishable. If you compare this to, again, Oblivion and Morrowind, you see that the NPCs in the later games have at least one unique paragraph to them, often, not always. And they have a day-night cycle that they follow, so you can see them wandering around town, minding their own business and doing their professions. So, last con, and this is a minor one, but it annoys me to no end, and this gameplay mechanic, or feature rather, is also in Oblivion 2 and was removed in Skyrim. And that is how you level up your character class. I'm not talking about skills here, but rather the overall level of your character. I'm not gonna go into specifics here, but in order to level up efficiently, to maximize the amount of attributes you get, the amount of skills you get, you have to play in a very unintuitive and unfun way, in my honest opinion. Of course, you're not forced to play in this way if you don't, want to. However, most RPG players usually have, a build they want to follow. They want to maximize their stats of their characters. So you are encouraged to, play the game in a more efficient manner, even though, again, in my opinion, it's not quite as fun. The second to last thing I want to talk about, and this is not a pro nor is it a con, is the fact that the game does not hold your hand at all when playing. And this is in stark contrast to the later Elder Scrolls games, where you have literal quest markers pointing you to where you need to go, as well as a tutorial, which is not really present in Elder Scrolls 3. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing in regards to Elder Scrolls 3, because I can see both sides of the story. Because when you actually figure something out in Elder Scrolls 3, when you accomplish something, it feels so good, so rewarding, because you felt that you did it on your own. You didn't mindlessly follow a arrow pointing you towards an objective. You actually had to read a journal. You had to, read through the lines of an NPC dialogue. You had to find perhaps a fairly hidden note or something. You have to actually interact with the game to figure out where you need to go, and it's very rewarding when everything works out. But on the flip side, there are a lot of times in a Morrowind where you feel completely lost. You have no idea where you need to go, and that's such a frustrating experience. You might, just be walking around in an area looking for the entrance to some mine somewhere, and you can't find it at all. And then you're just, running around in the world thinking, what the hell am I doing with my life? I'm not even having fun right now. I'm not making progress. What the hell? And you don't really know what to do. I feel that there is a middle point between Elder Scrolls 4 and 5 and Morrowind. I don't think you need to be quite as non-handholdy as Morrowind, but I don't think you need literal arrows pointing you to where you go. I want to find a middle ground. I have a suggestion, actually, and I thought about this when playing. You could have, for instance, in regards to quest arrows, you could have a hot-cold system. This is just an example. This might not even be good, I'll admit. So, for instance, if you get close to your objective, you might have an indicator on your HUD that tells you that you are close. However, it doesn't tell you exactly where you need to go or what you need to do. It only tells you that you're close to your objective. So you still have to, you know, interact with the world in order to figure out what to do and where to go. But at least you have a hint. Like, at least you're not completely lost out in the world, not having fun at all. And related to this point, if you are considering right now to play Morrowind, my suggestion to you is do not look up guides or quest help initially. But at the same time, do not spend hours on end trying to figure something out. Like, try to make the game as convenient and fun to play as you'd like. You need to have fun playing the game. You know, that's the reason why you're playing in the first place, right? So the last point that I want to talk about before we end this video is fast travel. In the later Elder Scrolls games, you have the ability to click on any location you've been at before and instantly travel there. You do not have this option in Morrowind. And I realized that this is a very polarizing point. Which way is better? The convenience of the later games or the, I guess, immersion factors of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind? When I played Morrowind, actually, I didn't feel the need for fast travel at all, because there are so many options available to you when it comes to traveling. You have the Silt Striders, you have boats, and you have the Major Skilled Teleportation Network. Eventually you'll be able to, you know, again, jump very far. You'll be able to fly around. Traveling around in Morrowind is a pain in the ass early on, but you get over that hurdle fairly quick, in my honest opinion. So for me, there's not really an issue here. I never felt inconvenienced when playing Morrowind. I could just go wherever I wanted fairly quickly. In regards to what would be best, I'm not sure, actually. As long as you have an option to move fast, be it, you know, an in-game solution using flying or whatever, or a fast travel version, as long as, you know, some sort of system is in place, I think I'm good. I don't hate fast travel. It's okay. It gets me where I need to go. I don't know what else to say. And also, it's very fun to fly in Morrowind too. And I can do both. I don't actually have a strong opinion on this one. So that's it, everyone. Those are my thoughts I wanted to get across to you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't noticed already, I really enjoy the Elder Scrolls games, all of them. And if I were to decide on which one I love more, I would say it's like a combination between 3 and 4. I feel that Elder Scrolls 3 has the best gameplay mechanics of all the games, you know, with the plenitude of skills and more spells and whatnot. But I really like the world design of 4 and 5, and I really like the quests in particular of Elder Scrolls 4. So again, yeah, the top spot for me is 3 and 4. My perfect Elder Scrolls game would be like a hybrid of both of those, I guess. But thank you so much for watching this video, and if you want to watch me stream live, you can click on the Twitch link in the description below. See you next time.